was first reading about the Russian campaign, first book I think I properly read about the Napoleonic Wars was David Chandler's Dictionary of the Napoleonic Wars. Yeah. I got it out of a pound store or something like that, and for some reason I thought it was just a read-through book. I was actually quite young when I got it. Seriously, I thought the first battle of the Napoleonic Wars was Aspin-Essling.
Because that came first in the alphabet.
Yeah. I thought by far Barclay de Tolly was the coolest, really, because he reminded me of a Russian sort of Wellington.
But yes, exactly. You know, I think Barclay, he clearly, he was Minister of War before the for 2 years before the invasion, and he just got his reforms they were done on the eve of the invasion, and literally still hot off the press. And I think the way he as with all European armies at the time, they just literally copied Napoleon's homework, and they say, you have this very flexible army of yours, with infantry divisions which have some horses in and some guns in. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Let's try to copy some of that. And
works quite well, doesn't it?
this sort of light infantry stuff, Yeah.
Tell me more about this.
Exactly. So so that on its own, would have been a major contributing factor to the Russian effort in 1812. But then added to that, you had his command of the First Western Army, de facto the whole army, in the first half of the campaign, which basically, he was having so much hate thrown at him from all sides, including his own bloody chief of staff, Yermolov. You've got Bagration writing letters to Yermolov and then plotting behind his back, which is not
turning around. Really?
It's not a particularly sort of effective way of running things. No. But despite all this, Barclay was like, the Tsar gave me an order, not to make sure that this army, which is currently a thing, remains a thing.
This is my only army, he told them.
Right. This is my only army. I have no other. Please remember this. I'm off to Moscow now to rally the populace. Don't mess anything up, please. And to be fair, had Bagration been in charge, things would have been royally messed up pretty quickly.
I think Smolensk would have been a very different story.
I think you may have had the unfortunate General Bagration.
I think so. And Napoleon would have absolutely adored it if Bagration was in charge.
Yes, and I think Napoleon would have thought. I think Napoleon thought that Bagration was the only sort of semi-decent Russian general or something along those lines.
Because he was insane.
Napoleon
loved his enemies to be absolutely insane.
This is true. I mean, on the other hand...
All respect to Bagration, because he did have a good offensive flair, and he wasn't an idiot by any means, but he would have played right into Napoleon's hands, I think.
I mean, this is the thing, You've got Bagration around, and he's very good for morale, but you put him in any position of responsibility, or strategic responsibility. Let's say, I mean, tactical stuff he's great at, but on any sort of strategic level, if he has control of the whole thing, then the decisions he's going to make is just kind of we're gonna go gloriously, but we are gonna go and this is the thing. If the army finds its grave in Smolensk or even in sort of Vilnius or Mogilev, that does absolutely nothing to stop Napoleon from basically going to Moscow and staying there.
Exactly. You will only have the militia and the Cossacks to
right. Yeah, Davidov were sort of 50 men sort of prancing about, and I mean, this is the thing, let's not forget, Napoleon had 500,000 men with him. Yes. 500,000 men.
And the Russians were always undercounting how many men he had as well.
Yeah, I think the Russians, when it comes to Napoleon's main invasion force, I think they estimated like the highest estimate was like 250,000 or something. So
Because it was just inexplicable that he would have over 500,000 men.
Pretty massive army.
Because just on practical terms, why on earth would you burden yourself with that many men?
Well, I mean, as it turned out, yeah, not a great idea. But then again,
hindsight, 2020.
Russia is a very big country,
it's a big place.
and you need men to garrison places, and that's kind of why the army sort of dwindled on the way to Moscow. Like, it wasn't so much battle casualties or disease, although there was a fair amount of that, especially sort of heat exhaustion. I mean, this is the thing. Everyone talks about General Winter. What about General Summer?
I was reading. I was reading by the time he retreated in what was it, October. He'd already lost the bulk of his men. How many men did he have left by that time? He had what, 80,000 men left or something?
I think it was probably about 90,000 men sort of in and around Moscow, and he still had Saint-Cyr and Oudinot on the northern flank, and then a bunch of people in depots sort of for reinforcements and supplies. But no, I mean he lost, and all those men wasn't so much, they didn't all die or anything, but they may have died on the way back. They may have died on the way back. Yeah. But by the time he got to Moscow, it was like let's say 100,000 to be charitable, which is a fifth to a quarter,
something like that,
of what he started with, and the retreat basically sort of
did the rest.
It was rather calamitous. Let's say.
It was the worst possible outcome of all outcomes.
Well, I mean, Napoleon could have possibly got himself captured.
That's true. I overestimated that there. The worst possible outcome would have been if the Russians cut him off, and the entire army had to surrender, and he would have become the unfortunate General Napoleon.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I think the worst humiliation would not be captured by a Cossack, but to be captured by like a random peasant militiaman. One of the flying detachments. We've got the emperor.
And Serf is just like looting him for his watch and things like that.
I mean, I think whoever had they ended up capturing Napoleon, whoever did that, no matter where they started off in life, even if they had had a huge criminal record or something, and whatever, they would have like got a massive estate in Poland or somewhere, and then
songs and
be made a count at least, maybe a prince, and like that would have been like a massive lottery to win. Unfortunately, they came so close, more than once. But Napoleon, as was his custom, Egypt, later out a bunch of bunnies at Tilsit.
Yeah.
He's very good at taking flight.
He is. He give him his credit. He always knew when it was time to leave.
Yes, although I think earlier on, at least he could sort of spin it in such a way
this one was very hard to spin.
His reputation remained intact. But I think where you've got an army of 500,000 men, and let's say at least 300,000 of them fail to come home, people are going to notice.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to become obvious after a while that something has gone awry, we'll say.
Yes. I mean, not to mention the fact that you've got Russian, Prussian, and Austrian armies,
suddenly appearing
and sweeping over Europe like some.
I'm sorry, sir. Didn't you say you'd beaten all these people?
I think Napoleon had great PR. But sometimes, even with the best PR people, when you have no money left and you have no men left, it's kind of quite difficult to continue your operations.
Yes, continue dominating Europe and things like that. All those little things, those little important things, like
Just, these little important things like having all my brothers rule over
different states
to various degrees of success. It has to be said, and given the fact that you already got rid of one, and
how embarrassing.
Louis, how did you turn into a Dutchman?
That happened in Holland, and it also happened with his obviously his extended family as well, didn't it? At Bernadotte. So it happened twice. One turned into a Dutchman and one turned into a Swede.
To be fair, the Swede actually got to keep his throne.
He did. That he actually is the most successful of Napoleon's marshals.
He came from very humble backgrounds.
A lot of the marshals were like, it gets confusing.
Yeah, indeed. But to end up King of Sweden and to found a dynasty which continues to thrive is no mean feat. Far more successful than the House of Bonaparte itself.
Somewhat. So that was a fun little summary of what we're doing. We're talking about basically the 1812 campaign and all these things, and but we should talk a little about Napoleonic Impressions.
Napoleonic Impressions, what it is, it's a joint venture between myself and my equally Napoleonic obsessed girlfriend. Although she's more into Prussia, I'm more into Russia. We basically did agree to split Poland between us. But yes, so it is an online store selling, weird and wonderful, fun designs inspired by the Napoleonic Wars. So we've got an animals collection, which features emperor penguins, obviously. In Napoleon's uniforms, and we've got Field Marshal Kutuzov, who again, fat, lazy, sleeps a lot. Makes a lot of sense. And we've got Admiral Nelson Fish, who swims. He's a clownfish who swims the seas looking for the French fleet.
He has good anemones that protect him.
He does. And
he's the only fish that can get into them.
And then we have His Grace the Duck of Wellington on a mug. And we won't recommend that you serve Earl Grey in it, but consider it as an experiment.
See what happens. See if the world implodes. By doing this, you bring Wellington back to life to tick you off about it.
We are going to be having another animal pretty soon. And then we've got a whole range inspired by Matryoshka dolls, Russian nesting dolls, mainly Russian generals for the time being. And then we have other sort of text art things, based on Napoleon crossing the Alps and sort of George Dawes' portrait of Barclay. Also got one on Wellington, one on Nelson.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to offer.
Once we've launched, we have, for all of you who listen to me talk about the Battle of Borodino, or who will listen to me talk about about the 1812 campaign and everything to do about it, I actually have a free ebook on the Battle of Borodino, which I intend to give as a freebie, but you must sign up to our mailing list on our website. But you have to do it after we've launched. NapoleonicImpressions.com. I think it's fairly. I mean, you've seen some of our designs. I think it's fairly easy to conclude who creates which designs.
I think there are actually all the ones I've seen are fun. They all are doing what they're supposed to do and entertain history geeks, essentially.
I mean, this is the thing, right? History should not just be about dusty archives and libraries.
Because it's our it's our duty to inspire and entertain with what we do.